I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this show here. Probably gonna piss off a lot of people, and I really don't care. Really don't care. So let's get into this topic here. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now, you know, we all agree, or the majority of us agree, that MJ is the greatest player to ever play the sport of basketball. The majority of us agree. Some people say it's Russell. Some people say it's Will Chamberlain. You know, some people say LeBron or whoever. But the majority of us agree that MJ is a GOAT. And actually, we read a poll yesterday on the channel that was conducted by a pretty big platform. I forgot the name of the platform, but anyway, they said amongst American athletes, spanning all the way back to Babe Ruth, who do they believe is the most popular, or who's the the greatest American athlete, of all time? 19% of them said Michael Jordan. I think the second person they came in, I believe, was Muhammad Ali. Right, so most people consider MJ to be the GOAT, and if you also look at his impact that he's had on basketball from a monetary standpoint, I mean, it's been incredible, and I don't think anyone had a bigger impact on the game in terms of taking it global the way Jordan did, and he created the biggest sneaker brand, arguably, in Jordan Brand in the entire universe, and I think Jordan made more people care about basketball than any other NBA player has ever. Since of all time. I think Jordan holds the record there. But that still doesn't stop people from going out there and taking shots at Jordan. Doesn't stop them, Some people are, bold enough to, take shots at his legacy. I heard it. I mean, it has gotten so ridiculous that I actually heard a comparison on ESPN the other day. Just listen to this. They were saying, who had a better start to their career, Patrick Mahomes or Michael Jordan? And I'm like, why are we comparing an NFL player to an NBA player? Like, it has gotten that absurd. And you have people up there arguing, well, Patrick Mahomes had a better career than Michael Jordan. So you see, that must mean Michael Jordan is not the... That's what they're doing. Yesterday on Undisputed, where they have some of the most nauseating MJ versus LeBron debates, because I think it's just, anyway. So they were on there, and they were talking about, I believe, the return of LeBron to the Lakers, and I think the Lakers got a win yesterday with D'Angelo Russell's home debut with this team, although he played with them before. And they were kind of talking about that. Then Skip was trying to make a point about the Lakers' record and what it could ultimately end up being. I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Lakers are either the number 12 or the number 13th seed in the Western Conference. Let me just confirm this. Yes, they're still the 13th seed, even though they just won a game yesterday, but they're 4-6 out of their last 10 games. So they've not been, so they're still fighting for their playoff lives. So that's what they were talking about. And then Skip made a point of, it's going to be a hit. It could potentially, be a hit on LeBron's legacy for him to miss the playoffs for 2 consecutive seasons. And then Shannon Sharpe boldly goes out there and tries to basically take a shot at Jordan's legacy and miserably fails in the process. So what we want to do is we want to play the exchange for you guys, and then we're going to come back and really annihilate this thing. Take a listen to that.
Jordan would never. This guy would never.
Well, wait, did you just put Michael Jordan and LeBron James in the same sentence?
First of all, Michael Jordan was not playing in year 20. And he stopped at 15.
Well, but when he stopped...
We saw when he stopped in Washington. Yeah. We saw those 2 years. No, let's not pretend they didn't happen.
He stopped by making the game winning
shot. No, he
didn't.
He came back and played. He came back.
That's called ceremonial.
That is ceremonial, huh?
Yeah.
Well, he should have been the grand marshal of that parade.
Yeah. Okay, but he did that just on a lark, just because he likes the owner of the Wizards.
I don't know.
That's all he did.
I know Lark is a bird. I know she was an actress. Lark boy. You remember Lark? She was on one of them, Saved by the Bell, or one of those. Yeah. I think that's what she was on. I think her name was Lark something. But anyway, Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to do. What you try to do, and you constantly do this. You constantly say, "Oh, they're better than what you think they are." What you're trying to do is try to set me up. It's like get on. It's like LeBron James, the great LeBron James, couldn't get his team in the playoff for the second consecutive year.
That's what you're facing.
Facing nothing.
Okay, that will tarnish your reputation and your image.
If those 2 seasons in Washington didn't tarnish Michael Jordan, missing the playoffs ain't gonna tarnish LeBron James.
He had taken 3 full years off out of principle because his coach got shoved out the door.
Skip.
He came back to be the GM, coach, and star player of the Wizards.
And he was bad at all of them.
And they went 37-45 2 straight years, and they did miss the playoffs 2 straight years. 37-45.
Okay. As the GM, was he good?
You realize 37-45. You're kind of on pace to be just about that kind of team right now. That's what you look like.
He came back as the coach. They won 37 games, so that wasn't good. As the GM, we know the picks that he selected and the trades that he made wasn't good.
Okay, he's proven to be the worst chooser of basketball players in the history of general managers. He is. He is that. I say it every time. I'm completely objective. He's also by far the greatest player who ever played this game.
He was.
And he did not
till
mind.
a kid was born in Akron, Ohio on December 30th.
He was so sure of himself that he didn't mind going ceremonial when he was a little out of shape at the end. He was 39 and 40 years of age.
Nah,
those last
ain't no little. It's like being pregnant. Either you are, I'm a little pregnant.
Okay.
Either you are pregnant or you're not. So either you're in shape or you're out of shape. Ain't no little out of shape.
Is LeBron in the greatest shape of any 20-year player we've ever seen?
LeBron James might be in as good a shape as anybody that ever played the game. Forget what year.
All right, so you just closed the case.
So you heard what they had to say there. Now, some people may be thinking, Shannon won that. I mean, he made some solid points. If you look at his blah 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 blah, I mean, he won. I don't see. I think Shannon was able to get that over people in the room that weren't savvy enough to understand what he was doing. And number 2, people that simply did not have the information. If you had the information, you know that was a terrible point, and in fact, he failed. Here's why. Michael Jordan's Washington Wizards, I believe that team, when MJ was, let me say, 40 years old, finished the season with a 37-45 record. 37-45 record. Okay? They missed the playoffs. The play-in did not exist at the time. Let me just give you a quick rundown of some of the players that Jordan was playing with on his roster. Kwame Brown, Brian Cardinal, what's the other person? Juan Dixon, Anthony Goldwire, Brendan Haywood, Larry Hughes, Jared Jeffries, MJ himself, Christian Laettner, Tyronn Lue, Charles Oakley, Brian Russell, Bobby Simmons, Jerry Stackhouse, and Jahadi White. Now, I just want to do a quick confirmation. Christian Laettner, Hall of Fame. I just want to confirm this. Christian Laettner, yes, Christian Laettner was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So MJ at the time was playing with one Hall of Fame teammate in Christian Laettner. He certainly was not a top 75 player. You didn't see him on the list. But nevertheless, that was MJ's roster. Let's pull up the current Lakers roster. They have Anthony Davis, who is a top 75 player. They had Russell Westbrook. And you have LeBron James, Troy Brown Jr., Max Christie, Davon Reed, Mo Bamba, Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, and some other players that they recently just acquired. And D'Angelo Russell, obviously, who they just recently acquired. To compare those two rosters is actually laughable. To compare those two. The Lakers clearly have had the better roster over the last 2 seasons. If we're looking at cumulative talent in terms of Hall of Fame talent, it's an absolute joke. In this time frame, I think last year they had Carmelo Anthony, Hall of Famer, Dwight Howard, Hall of Famer. At one point, I believe they had Rajon Rondo, Hall of Famer. They have Russell Westbrook, Hall of Famer. You had Anthony Davis, Hall of Famer. You have LeBron James, also Hall of Famer. And they didn't even make it into the play-in. So the point Shannon was making was a bad one, and I'll tell you why. Because his argument is MJ is the GOAT. LeBron is the GOAT. So if LeBron is the GOAT, theoretically, if LeBron is playing with more talent, he should have a better record, but he doesn't. And that's where he failed. He thought he was getting it over somebody. He didn't get it over anybody. The sad part is Skip wasn't nimble enough to capitalize on that point. Maybe because he forgot. Maybe he didn't know. Who knows? But he didn't capitalize on that point. So that was a terrible argument. A terrible argument. Jordan was 40 years old. I remind you, he was the more durable player than LeBron because Jordan actually played all 82 games, and I think he started for 78 of those 82 games at the age of 40. I mean, they were literally trying to drag him off the court because of his knee, because of some issues that he was having with his knee. But there again, you have another lousy attempt at trying to shade MJ. It was a lousy attempt. LeBron had more talent. On the calendar, he's actually younger than MJ by 2 years. He's younger than him by 2 years on the calendar. Not by NBA years, but in 2 years in actual, on the birth certificate, he was actually younger than MJ. And I thought that was a lousy attempt to try to prove some type of point that MJ was bad. MJ didn't have the talent. He didn't have the talent, and they damn near got that team to the playoffs. He damn near got that team with no top 75 teammates in sight.